get by. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Arti Sharma of Measure Marketing. You can check him out at measuremarketing.com. Arti, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. We were actually introduced and met through Jason Swank and his group. I had him on twice. One, he talked about how he built up his agency to over 8 figures and sold it. And the second was how he was buying up agencies. And obviously he's got a mastermind for agency owners that we talk about as well. So check those episodes out. Also, a really good one was Kevin Hurrigan of Spinia Tech. Kevin had an agency since 1995. And he talks about the agency landscape, the internet landscape, the business landscape over the past few decades. I know, Arti, you also have been in, marketing and business for a while as well. So we're going to talk about that. But that was a very interesting episode. Check that out. And also a mutual friend, Duncan Elney, we did an episode on social media marketing and business as well. So check that one out. He runs Firebelly Marketing Podcast, and he's got some great guests there. And this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. And how do we do that? We do that by helping you run your podcast. We're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. And Arti and I were just talking about how, we do the strategy to make sure it makes sense for the business. We do the accountability to make sure it happens. And then we do the full execution and production. So we're like magic elves that work in the background to make it look easy for the host so they can literally just have the conversation, develop relationships, and run their business. So for me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I have found no better way over the past decade to profile the people and companies I most admire and share with the world what they're working on. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. Happy to answer any questions that you have. I am excited to introduce Arti Sharma. She's CEO and founder of Measure Marketing. She started back in 2008 after spending 15 years bringing thought leadership to Fortune 500 companies, franchise systems, startups, and everything in between. She's grown her company to over 29 people. It includes inbound marketing, account-based marketing managers, search marketing, data analysts, CRO, SEO, web designers, developers. They have an amazing group of amazing team over at Measure Marketing. She also serves on the board for nonprofits such as Food for Kids and some others. And she loves to mentor the young startups and businesses. And Arti, thanks for joining me.
Well, Dr. Jeremy Wise, thank you so much. Is it okay to call you Jeremy?
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Why don't you start us off with just talk about Measure Marketing and what you do. And as you do, there is a video component so people can check it out. I'm going to pull up Measure Marketing site and we can take a look. So talk about Measure Marketing, what you do.
You know what? We're a very unique combination of agency that not just focus on demand capture, demand conversion, both aspects of it. We're very much into the performance-based marketing suite for B2B agencies and B2B companies. What really separates us is our data-backed approaches. We're very data-driven, as the name suggests. So from generating demand to as in capturing the demand, to converting the demand, to measuring the demand and the impact of the demand on your bottom line revenue. That's all we do. From MQLs, I don't like to use the word MQL anymore, or SQLs. It's more about qualified leads, that really have an impact on your bottom line. So servicing about 4 different niches: manufacturing, specialty manufacturing, predominantly SaaS, health tech, and e-commerce. That's what we really do. And in terms of our offering, as I mentioned, we really focus on the demand and the capture, in which may require different techniques for different companies and different industries, to demand conversion, which may require different techniques and strategies as well. So it all just depends on what the client needs are, where the clients really want to go, and where we fit in to help them achieve those goals successfully in a timely manner. So that's what we do.
Measure marketing is a really good domain.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the first idea for the company and the name Measure Marketing when you came up with it.
It's very interesting, and I'm so glad that you asked. Actually, I've not been asked this before, but I will tell you a little story about it, which is I was involved in marketing and helping companies, succeed, and what used to work in the corporate life back then. One of the gaps that I saw at the time was everyone's talking all about all the different digital marketing strategies, because digital was evolving 2004, 5, 6. I think 2007 was the cusp and everyone wanted to get up behind it. 2006 or 2007, I would say. And I self-taught myself search engine optimization, but I kind of saw back then, I saw that everyone was talking about marketing and digital marketing, but nobody was talking about the impact of measuring that marketing effort. So we definitely wanted to kind of be in that space where I wanted to be in that space to explore that. That's how the name came up. And one fine day, just on a couch, I'm looking for domains. And for those of you who don't know, I really buy domains. That's my kind of side, I would say, passion project.
You do buy domains. Yeah, Measure Marketing is a good one.
Yeah, we do. And I do have almost 250 domains related to marketing and some other business ventures that I want to start in the future. So yeah.
Can you share any of your favorites? Some of your favorite domains that you own?
Yeah. We want to put an event together sometime in the fall. So I bought one day growthcon.io. And then I have ascent.io for a product that we want to launch, a digital launch of the product. Yeah.
I always joke around, you can tell how ADD an entrepreneur is by how many domains they own.
Oh my gosh, that's a new one. Well, then I do have that. I was diagnosed, but now you have said it out in public.
I know people with a lot more than that, but obviously a lot less than that too.
Maybe in the lower tier.
You're in the, exactly. Yeah. You're a healthy,
I'm in a healthy space.
Yeah.
Good.
It was interesting, and I was doing some research. There was kind of a blog post that triggered you to go full time. Talk about the decision to go from when you were doing it part time to actually just going all in on the business.
Yeah, and the gentleman who really inspired me to do that is none other than Dharmesh Shah, the CTO and founder of HubSpot, as we all know him. He used to run a community called On Startups back in the day, and when he was running that, when he ran that community, I was new to LinkedIn at the time, as part of that community On Startups, and our daughter was born, and one fine day, while I was a stay-at-home mom and trying to kind of, build something part-time just to see how marketing and measurement will be a good combination for the future, I came across that blog where he said, if you have been paid $1 by somebody for your service, you're already in business. You just now have to figure out how to scale that and get more people to pay you that dollar. So at that time, when he said that in his blog post, I think it's somewhere on LinkedIn, it's still live. And I sent a note to him once and I said, you've changed my life. That blog post changed my life and my family's life and so many others that are now part of Measure Marketing, either as, clients or team members. So that was the turning point for me, and at that time I was already, as a part-time business owner, I had replaced my full-time salaried job at the corporate. So kind of, was a push to me to say, I got to explore this. I enjoy doing this. I'm really having an impact, changing how people think about marketing and measurement of their marketing spend. So yeah, that's
talk about the evolution of your services. So when you first started, what were you offering? And then we could fast forward to today on the services you offer.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and I think what really has good that has happened at Measure Marketing is that we were not afraid to pivot. So when I first started, I had learned SEO, search engine optimization, more like, earned media space. I was going to StomperNet conferences, learning it on my own. So we were more of an SEO shop. And then to kind of, work on that search engine optimization side of things, we really needed to have some conversion metrics and, user experience, and technology started to play into role. So we started developing our website design capabilities and web development capabilities. And then we earned several awards for being the web awards per se. So we became really good at that as well. And then as the evolution started to happen and we wanted to measure more impact and more demand creation, my interest in paid advertising was there, but I never had the resources, or I probably never actively built the resources up until like 2013, 14, when we started doing a lot more paid advertising. And then since then, we never looked back. Our performance marketing and paid media, start of the business started to kind of explode a lot more. And then search and paid became one of those two cornerstone activities. And of course, alongside came content, the responsiveness of search engines to relevant, engaging content was important. So that became our strong suite. And again, there was some missing point in terms of our measurement. We were still using Google Analytics, and we really wanted to do more because our client base was evolving. So our client base was moving more towards, from SMB segment to mid-tier segment to manufacturing and SaaS companies who really understand the need for data-driven approaches, and they kind of have the budgets to invest in sophisticated data-driven methodologies. That's when we started to build our growth team. And today we're a full stack team of growth marketers who really are focused on performance, data analytics, and measurement of the full funnel. And search engine optimization, content marketing, paid media still are part of our offering, but they're kind of more in the demand capture stage, the attract stage of the funnel. And we still have more to offer. When companies, they already have their built-in departments for the demand capture, but they don't know how to convert the demand or kind of measure the demand and the impact. That's where we can also come in. So the company's really evolved, Jeremy, from being an SEO company to becoming a full stack, data-driven, I'd say performance-based company for B2B organizations.
Can you just talk a little bit? I know we were chatting before we hit record about three things, which is demand generation, demand capture, and demand conversion. Can you just talk a little bit about those and how you think about, maybe start with the demand generation, because obviously that leads to capturing, which leads to the conversion part.
That's great. Yeah. So we understand that, customers really want more leads. Everybody, in the business would say, hey, I want to keep my sales teams busy and I want to build a brand, get my phone to ring. Well, that's not easy as it sounds unless you have a really defined ideal customer profile. Sometimes the phones could ring for the wrong reasons and wrong type of lead. So that's not good. And that's really wasting your dollars. So our programs really start with, if you don't know who you want to service, then let's explore that and strategize on who is your ideal customer. What are their pain points? What does their buyer journey look like? Where do they really hang out? What kind of work are they looking to kind of outsource or do? Or what are their needs and pain points? So kind of from there, we start to kind of build up what channels will be really important for them to capture their interest and their demand and to attract them to your brand as a client, right? So that's the demand capture piece of it. Demand, I think demand capture is one aspect. Then second aspect is to convert that demand. Or the third aspect I said is the conversion of the demand, right?
Yep.
So between the demand creation to demand capture to demand conversion, the creation would be, of course, when your brand has to be put out there, but you need to make sure that you put the right brand out there. And that starts with your ICP, your branding, and making sure that you have some way to put yourself out there through relevant, engaging positioning, voice, tone, and messaging. And then demand capture would be when you have a fantastic platform, some sort of a website, or your LinkedIn strategies are in place to attract those people to your brand, which is where you capture the demand through search and paid media, or some sort of account-based marketing strategies to bring them to you. And then the other aspect is the demand conversion. Once you have a healthy pipeline, from there you go into converting your pipeline into relevant sales ready leads that your sales team can really engage and convert them into from prospects to customers, right? So that's where the three aspects come in. So yeah, demand is very, very big in itself, and we want to make sure that we drive customer success along the way on all those three different areas.
We'll talk about some best practices. I kind of like to highlight some specific examples. And I know there was a B2B SaaS health tech company. What did you do with them?
Yeah, so I think when they approached us, there was a need for a clear understanding of their objectives. We crafted strategic go-to-marketing, strategies and plans for them that are essentially really important for us to understand their ICP. They really had their ICP nailed down, which was good. But at the same time, we were venturing into this new space, so we had to train ourselves and train our team into. So what we worked with them was to create a complete roadmap towards how does our engagement with them will look like, what will it look like, what will be our role, what will be the bottom line business objectives, and how will we be measured in terms of that. So what we did was we looked at their data, their past data. We looked at also their overall current go-to-market plan. How could we evolve it, and then we activated the program based on their goals and objectives, and then looked at some sales acceleration strategies. But predominantly where we played a bigger role was in demand creation and demand capturing, and then just after 2 years, we started to work with them on their demand conversion aspects, kind of in bringing the metrics from their sales force and working with them and kind of using offline conversion tracking, et cetera, and some sophisticated ways to double down on their, attracting more of those audiences that they want to be in front of, and working with a third party in their ABM campaign as well. So they're more in the, I don't want to give out, they're more in the health tech space, if you will. So our role was more the high quality MQLs in the first year, and then we started to kind of change the narrative to more sales ready leads in the second year. So what we did was created that demand through search engine optimization strategies, performance based paid marketing, and programmatic ads, display ads, as well as some other offline conversion tracking with their existing client database and client data to kind of combine the two to create more of that pool of customers that their sales team could work with. And on the back end, we worked on optimizing their attribution and how they track their numbers on the demand and the lead side.
I could see on the generation side, and by the way, if someone's watching the video, we're looking at a few of these things that you're talking about on here with the ICP building, the strategy, the execution, data reporting, and then the attribution part. But I could see some mistakes people would make with the generation part, the creation part, which is maybe they're just going after the wrong customer. Like if they haven't mapped this out with their ideal customer and the buyer journey, then they get these people who maybe aren't a fit and they're wasting their time.
Yeah.
So let's assume that's in place and we get to the capture part. What are some of the mistakes people make in that part? And
That's amazing. So, in the demand capture side of things, they probably do not have what happens when somebody fills the form, right? Those are the challenges. They can generate a pipeline, let's say, if they have the right kind of customers that are coming to them, but then they're not able to address the needs of those customers and engage them. So engagement is a big gap in the capture stage, predominantly when they're not able to either engage them through the right messaging, or their sales teams are not really trained to kind of go into those conversations and get their interest in the product or the service. Or even online, sometimes we find that websites have clunky processes to even, fill the form out. I mean, you may have 100 fields on the web form where the customer is really in a rush to kind of get to speak to somebody, or your AI robotic chatbots are not as humanized, and they probably are so defeating for that entire purpose when somebody's really wanting to speak to somebody or get in touch with a real body who could possibly service them. So I think those are some little nuances of understanding your user, their motivation, their interest in your product or service, and capturing that demand and making it seamless and easy, and eliminating all those friction points for them, right? So that's where we also come in with their UX UI plan, the overall buyer journey, and how to make it really seamless. And that experience has to be so good that time to value, for that entire buying cycle is really systematized. So there's a lot of several things that we do that, and engaged part is that part where we look at collaborating with our clients to not just understanding their buyer's process, but also kind of matching their sales process to that buying process, and kind of bringing that cohesiveness or that collaboration, so that the overall experience is very delightful, which is where the conversion really happens. And during that capture mode, also, if there's a longer sales cycle, then how do you keep that lead or that prospect engaged through lead nurturing, through those engagements, through automations, through a variety of different other content pieces and content touch points, if you will.
So we get to the conversion part. What are some mistakes people make with that?
So the top mistakes that I've seen, especially in the digital marketing side of things, I'm not going to talk about just the marketing in this state, because if somebody has come to that stage with you, that means marketing has done their job, and now it's a sales handoff, I would say, to kind of the brand, the trust, everything has been established. You kind of got to get into that convert stage, and you want to make sure that during that stage, the follow through is important. If you don't have your MarTech and your sales tech completely in alignment, sometimes those technologies could fail you, right? It's not the people, it's the technology sometimes could fail you. You could be sending wrong emails or wrong sort of, messaging to the buyer at that stage. Or you probably don't have a sales team who's really moving them and leading them towards that conversation that could lead them to a conversion. Or most of the times I've seen, especially in e-commerce spaces, where your shopping cart is so clunky that you're about to sell, the customer is interested, they want to buy, but your shopping cart experience is so bad that you kind of are shifting that attention to your competitors, right? So that's mostly in the e-commerce space, but in in manufacturing and SaaS space, SaaS, I would say, where there's a subscription model, same issues happen, but majority of the times it is the misalignment of what marketing and brand promised, and then how does a sales team really created that experience, I would say, during that last stage of the deal.
Let's talk about manufacturing, because obviously you deal with a lot of B2B, which is probably going to be a much higher client lifetime value than someone's buying something off of an e-commerce site, if I'm generally speaking. So in the manufacturing space, there was one that you worked with specific in custom signs. And what were the things you did there?
So that's one of our niches. We work with a whole lot of custom signage companies across the states, and we work with companies in every stage of their, I would say, revenue cycle, if you will, or how they're building their companies. But this one was, I've got two that I'm really proud of how the team took them to their goals very quickly, and the time to value was really shortened and it was accelerated for them. One of them is a customer that's based out of Dallas area, and they were already about $4 million when they first hired us, and about 2 years ago when they first hired, there was a need for us to kind of revisit their brand, who they were focusing, what was their most profitable products and whatnot. And then after doing that ICP and business strategy analysis, we defined what are the marketing techniques that we really need to go after in order for us to attract more of that profitable business. We just talked about the demand capture. You could capture wrong demand. You don't want your sales team to be wasting their time, right? Or your phones to be ringing for the wrong reasons. So in that state, we kind of, really hone down to what they really want to do and where they want to go, and how does marketing come in and support that. So And that's where we had a rehash of their entire website. We didn't do a complete overhaul, but we kind of tweaked the website messaging, calls to actions. We narrowed down their focus from which kind of products would be most profitable and who's buying those products to identifying key phrases, key terms for both search, paid media, and our LinkedIn advertising to see what would really help them get to that audience base faster and really resonate and engage them at a higher level, and people will be more interested in having a conversation with them about their visual communications, their visual branding needs. So that's where we came in and we did that. And last I heard from them, it was recently actually, we had a top line impact of about $1.6 million for them in 16 months, which was kind of pretty cool to learn. And obviously their conversion rates and their profit margins are really high. Their gross profit margin is about 60%. So, they're pretty profitable with the program.
What I love about what you said is, and I'm sure that part alone, even if you didn't do all of the lead gen stuff, that would have left them in I think most companies in a very good spot, because thinking about who's the ideal customer, but who's the ideal most profitable customer. Because like, as you could have helped them identify things that maybe there's customers that are generating revenue, but maybe it's not profitable revenue for them. So that's a really important first step in that phase, I think. And I just want to, for me, that hits home. It's like, okay, how many times does a business really sit down and think through these pieces, right? And you kind of help them do that.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good observation, and thank you for highlighting that, because Jeremy, our team is a team of marketers, but they're also business strategists. So when we onboard our team members, we think of them and say, have they run businesses? Have they been involved in startups? Like, what is their MO? Do they understand the pain points of real businesses, real C-suite marketing professionals? If they were on the other side where they were engaging agencies, what was keeping them up at night as a marketing professional? What was important to the board, right? So those are the kind of questions we ask and see how do they handle that, and how do they kind of make not just everybody else look good, but also make sure that they really have an impact. It's an important aspect of how Measure Marketing rolls and our culture, is to be able to influence, inspire, and impact the lives of everybody we work with and we touch.
All right, they have one last question. Before I ask it, I want to point people to check out measuremarketing.com so they can learn more. Check out more episodes of the podcast. My last question is about your favorite resources. It could be books, it could be software. I know we were talking before we hit record about you're always thinking about growth and technology for yourself and for your clients. So what are some of your favorite, it could be software, tools, books, some of your favorite resources?
That's great. We're in the era of digital transformation. Obviously, as a digital marketing and performance-based agency, we're always at the helm of it. I think one of the things that I always want people who are new to this space or who want to learn more about digital is to go look at the Google blog. That's the first way to start. Look at Google has tons of resources. Go look at that. My favorite tools for business owners is I get inspired by my coach and mentor, Michael Hyatt. He's been really influential for me to understand the vision, clarify the vision, and be able to create a very inclusive company for everyone to thrive and do well. So we kind of use that. On the book side, another favorite of mine is Traction, and I love the book. We're kind of a combination of great Michael Hyatt and Traction combination. We're not one of either or, but we're a good combination of those two. There's several books, but I can go to some tools that I like to, use is for those who want to really learn search and want to kind of, get into the space. I think start toying around with GPT-4. Spend the $20 per month. Look at what it can do. Kind of create your own GPTs and work through that. But also on the search side, I think, Uber Suggest, Neil Patel's little tools and softwares that he keeps bringing it up. Just explore. there's so many of them. To name a few would be a disservice to the others, but I think Neil Patel, he offers some great advice on his blog as well. And HubSpot's blog is a great resource to go after and to learn from. And those are the few that those are my go-to sources. But at the same time, there's so many thought leaders that are putting out some amazing content online. My friend Chris Walker, I would say, I really follow him. He's a great Rise Media. He's really an authority on GTM and again Sangram GTM partners. He's putting out some good content out there. So those are a few that I'd mention.
I love it. Yeah. Do you have a favorite Michael Hyatt book? You mentioned Traction. That's Gino Wickman. Actually, people can check out the podcast I did with Gino Wickman of Traction. Another good one, a favorite, is Rocket Fuel with Mark Winters and Gino Wickman. Michael Hyatt has some great books out there. I don't know if you have any favorites. I think
I have.
Yeah,
Actually,
what are some of your favorites?
One of the things that if you are in a mode of, as a business owner and a CEO, you really want to strike and find your purpose and find the balance between your, not balance is not the right word, I would say harmony in your business and life. I would say Living Forward is a great book. I've been doing my life plan every year. I look at it. April 5th is the day when I do that. So for me, that's like a no-brainer. I've been doing it for 8 years. He's got some amazing tools on focus. I mean, my team is pretty, I think, in line with, I didn't put them through the Michael Hyatt program, but I've trained them on full focus planner and the full focus mode that Michael talks about, the big wins. And, Traction talks about rocks, and he talks about your top three big threes. So there's a very synergistic approaches to both of those, but yeah, so those are the two things that I would say.
Yes, I think he's got Free to Focus, Living Forward, and the Vision Driven Leader. Those three stick out. He probably has more books than that, but check those out. But Arti, I want to thank you. Everyone check out Measure Marketing, more episodes of the podcast, and we'll see everyone next time. And thanks again.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for having me. It was a pleasure.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.